All right, so I talked about this yesterday quite a bit. I want to go back and expand on it a little bit further. Learn to be creative with your discounting ability. That's what we're talking about. You know, when you first come through the training program, because it is so much information, I am teaching you a march and lockstep process of doing discounts. Now that you understand how the discounting works and you understand how it affects pricing and your commission level, be creative with it. For instance, going back to the one you're referring that I've been talking about, I was at 29, and there's two parts here to the answer to your question, but the part about when I'm by myself and I'm not with a trainee that needs to see the process, they're in the class or they're just out of training, but there's somebody further along, or if I'm not with anybody, my discounting is much thinner than what you guys are doing. I'm not doing 8% for $1,600. I'm not doing 6% for $1,200 or $1,400 and 4% for $600 or $800. I'm generally restructuring the deal. And the whole point I'm doing is letting them feel that I'm fine-tuning it to what they want. So I go through my price presentation, and I'll carry y'all through it again because I want to be able to record the word tracks. But I go through the price presentation, and I get to the general manager, and I go for a close, and you know, some of them close right up there at 100% a list. If they don't close up and they give me a price objection, I'm always going to go to the 3-step value bump. I consider it to be one of the most powerful tools to use in the close. But if I get anything else, especially that we need to think about it or we're getting a couple of other estimates, I don't run to ARIO. ARIO to me is the elementary version of what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is, okay, I got it. Absolutely. You need to be completely comfortable with it. I want you to think about it. I want you to take the time you need. But let's make sure, and I say things like, let's make sure we're on the same page. Let's make sure you have a complete understanding of what's going to happen. And I literally walk them back through, not just on the iPad, I'm literally back out with the wall tiles. Do we have the right wall tile? Making that drop possible to the standard wall tile. And, you know, if you love them both, let's save the money. You know, and I might not even put the dollars out if I don't want it to be an exact $2,000. I can tell them the walls are $1,000 difference. I can tell them the walls are a significant chunk. It'll make a difference here. And so what I did with the one from last week is I took the walls off and added 4% to it so that it was actually a discount of almost $3,000 when I took them off. But this is a big oversized shower, 93 inches, 46 inches, Lux stone on 3.5 walls. So that number wasn't out of line with what was going on. And it took me all the way from 29 to 26. And then I did a couple of other small things and got another $1,000 off, and I was at 25.4. And I never had to make an MOD call. All I did was restructure the package, pad 4% extra in there. As far as they're concerned, that was just part of the restructuring. They don't know that I added a 4% discount. So I was at 96% a list, had them. We went over the package. They had real clear understanding of what it was now. And then I presented the number and I port slid them. So the conversation you're looking for, how do you sit and close and sit on a number for all this time? It's not magic conversation about trying to close them. It's conversation assuring that they clearly understand everything we're doing. Let's go back over. Do you understand the detail of the installation? This is what happened. I might save things about the install. This is one of the storylines I lose in the close. Let me tell you about the first day they come out here, John and Mary. Let me tell you the first day when our installers come out. When our installers come out the first day, the materials are already here. So many companies lose time because the installation crew has to go to wherever the central warehouse is, pick up the materials, and then bring them out. They get to the job at 12 or 1 o'clock, they unload the materials, and guess what? They're done for the day. Who's going to start working at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Our crew shows up in the morning. The materials have already been delivered by a box truck a couple of days before. Everything is on a shrink wrap pallet waiting for them when they get here. So they immediately start to work. They're going to go in, they're either wearing booties or they're going to put parchment paper down all the way to your bathroom. We're not going to have any problem with carpet or anything like that getting dirty. Super respectful of your home and the fact that you live here, and they want to not, if they have to move a piece of furniture because they don't want to bang into it, they're going to move that out of the way. Super respectful of your house. And then what they're going to do is they're going to turn your water off for just about 30 or 40 minutes so they can tear down that one wall where the water is and immediately cut and cap those lines so they can turn your water right back on. So you're only without water for like 30 to 45 minutes on that first day. And then they go to work and they're removing everything out and they're demoing it out and immediately taking all the trash out of the house as it's generated. Nothing's being piled in the hallway. It's going all the way out and right to where it needs to go to be taken to the dump. Nice and clean job site. Then once everything's down to that stud in the subfloor, we're going to do a real clear inspection. And if we need to do any carpentry work, we're going to start and deal with that right then and there. And then once that's done, and we're now pulled the plumbing lines because we cut those lines and capped them, so all that's come out along with the other trash. We're down to just studs, subfloor, and the hot and cold water capped lines. And now we're ready to start the installation process. And the first thing they're going to do is take those laser measurements and go get those panels cut so they're ready to be installed at the right time. And then they go and build back out that plumbing infrastructure with the new valves and the fasteners and connectors and lines coming off of those shutoff valves that they've capped the lines with. And at some point the day comes to an end and they neatly pack up and secure all their tools so that if there are any children around, nobody's playing with anything, no sharp edges, nothing like that. It's a secure job site, and they're back the next morning. And for about 30 minutes the second day, they're going to turn your water off when they make that final connection. And then once they make that final connection, your water's back on, because that's all your water's going to be off twice for about 30 to 40 minutes in this whole process. And they're going to finish it out, put the final accessories on, probably be done somewhere between 11 and 3 o'clock the second day, just depending on how time has gone. And you're able to use the shower the next morning of that third day. That's part of what I'm doing. It's just over and over building value and explaining. So that's the what happens your first day is a story I might wait and give in the close. And it lets me build out what the installation is and add some more detail about how the installation works. Because the time in the close is all about how much you get. It ain't about what you're doing. Hear me again. It has very little to do with what you're saying. What you're saying does not close people. If they're not sold by the time you get into the close, you can't sell it then. All you're doing in the close is presenting the number, giving them the time to embrace it and calm down and absorb it, and that takes time, and then walking them gently through the decision-making process and understanding the details. They have to be crystal clear on what they're getting, and they have to be crystal clear about how much it is and how they're paying for it. And a lot of my conversation in the close is just repeating the order and confirming they want that. And then going back to the discounting thing I was talking about, you know, if you're on your second drop and you're calling, whether it's flex install, you know, you guys don't have to be beholden to the exact conversation. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand, is that the process is the same, but the conversation changes on what the hot button is for the person in front of you. Well, I'm going to go, like I said, I'm going to walk y'all through the close again with some of the word tracks, but I'm going to introduce, Mark and I were talking about this quite a bit over the weekend, is that when you get down to your general manager special, yeah, sometimes you need to make the GM call there and get your social media and your 8% and just a standard play. But another time it might be really close, and you can say, folks, you didn't let me tell you about the last couple of programs. take a deep breath, slow down a minute, John and Mary. I told you, full transparency, and we'll tell you everything. So I'm coming across, like the reason I hadn't gotten to it is in a polite way, they keep interrupting me. You're all wound up. Calm down, John and Mary. I told you I'm a transparent book, but there's a lot of ground to cover. Bear with me. I got a couple more things to share with you. And I might introduce the military, the senior citizen, and the medical needs, depending on which ones I bring up with who's in front of me, and use the social media form to justify it and give them that discount. And maybe it's only 6%. Maybe it's 3 and 3, and I've used the social media and I do the math and I go into the custom discount tab, percentage, I put 6 instead of 8. And in the window, I write senior citizen and military discount. So when I show it to them on the iPad, it says military senior citizen, and it's worth 6%, $1,282. And I'm at 94%. And I put that on the social media form, and I say, here, I need you to sign that. Get the savings. Show my manager that you're willing to do those things. Because the whole purpose of the higher authority close, bringing your manager into it, is when you can't do anything else. So without a loss of credibility, you're making the phone call. Hey, boss, I can't do anything else, and I feel bad. They really want to shower. What can we do? With all the added verbiage that we do it with. But that's the nuts and bolts of it. So if you're close, you might present it that way. And then if you don't want to go to the flex install, maybe they're not the right person for the flex install, but there's a hydro rail in it. Now you want to talk about giving them the hydro rail. So maybe the phone call to Mark or your manager is to explain the package and the people and the project and everything you've done and the financing and the payments. And, I got him the senior citizen in the military because his dad did 20 years in the Army and they signed off on the form. They're more than happy to do the social media component to get that savings. But Mr. Spire, here's why I called you. They've got a chrome finished hydro rail in this project. And they really want to do this, but it is a lot going on for this. But it's a big project and it's a lot going on. I want to give them that hydro rail. I know that we're not big on giving things away, but I'm going to be real blunt with you. That's what I want to do. And so you're there asking your manager if you can give them something as opposed to taking money off. And then, because you don't want to take $1,500 off, how much does a hydro rail cost? It costs anything you want it to cost. Because you're in the presentation screen and it says one each. So you can go back into custom discount and you can go free chrome finished hydro rail per VP Spire and assign it an $11,000 or $1,143 value or a $983 value or an $1,874 value. You can make it anything you want to work the percentages. One of the things that I purposely do in the demo is I don't ever tell people that one shelf comes free. I put a shelf in the package because you need storage. So I put that, let's not do a locker. I think the shelf would be beautiful, 21 to 14. I don't tell them it's free in the package because that gives me an opportunity, if I want, to give them a product that I can assign any value to as a discount that didn't have a number on it. I can give it to them free in the close, and it can be worth, obviously it's not $1,000 shelf, but it could be worth anywhere from $250 to $500 in the number I want to present to the homeowner. Learn to, getting too wound up for you?
No, I got to enter the Zoom call.
Learn to use your discounting for the person you're in front of. They don't give a shit about social media, make it about something else. If the lady's a coupon clipper, give her something. You see what I'm getting at? Learn to be creative with your discounting. And one of the things you can do, like I said, is you can decide if you start massaging the package, throw a little percentage in there if you want to massage it a little harder. They don't know you're doing that. You can take yourself to 95 just in the restructuring to make it worth a little more when you restructure it. And a lot of what I'm doing in the closing, Clay, is I'm not trying to close them. I'm reconfirming their understanding that we've got the right package. Did you want to do this? They got a hydro rail. you know, if we do an Awaken, and I'm making a show, I'm pulling the iPad back out. I'm showing them the Awaken and describing how it's got 3 pressure settings. It's adjustable on this running rail for different height folks. The holster that holds it swivels, so it's just like a shower head. So you get all the functionality of a handheld and a shower head in one unit as opposed to 2 with the Hydro Rail, and it saves you $800. You want to save the $800 and go to the Awaken? Yeah, let's do that. And I haven't dropped anything. Or maybe I say it's worth $900 and I dropped half a point because I wanted to make it 9 because it took the number down to a certain point. You know, it took it down to 24,800 instead of 2550 kind of thing. And so that's where I'm getting the time and the close. And so what are they feeling? They're like, wow, he's really making sure we clearly understand everything. And it is helping them clearly. They're hearing it over and over, so the value goes up and up and up. Wow, we are getting a lot. Wow, they are doing a lot. Wow, 2 or 3 guys are doing all that work in our house and being respectful of our property. Wow, a lot is going on. And so they're hearing it over and over. And then they see me working the package and, all right, we're not taking off the safety bar. You need to have that. Let's talk about saving $800. And I might preface it like that. Let's talk about saving $800. Ooh, I want to save $800. Yeah, Harold, let's talk about that. That's what they're thinking. And then I walk them through that change up in that one item. Maybe if they were talking about the teak seat, or maybe they went to the Tresham bench at $1,500, $1,600. I roll them back to the teak seat. That's probably not as big a difference as it used to be. It used to be about $500 or $600. Maybe now it's only like $350. But I'm looking for those things, the walls, the Hydro Rails, the Awakens, that kind of stuff. Maybe I throw something in. Listen, John, don't have, we only got so much control of the money, but, if I'm at $24,000 on my, they got a bunch of bells and whistles, but they did the white wall, and I'm at $24,000. Well, 8% of $24,000 is like $1,900, $2,000. That pays for a wall upgrade. John, I don't got so much control of the money, but one thing I do have control of, see, we're a construction company. I love to say this to somebody. I only got so much control over the money, but I got a lot of control over the product. I'm a multi-million-dollar producer for this company. I'm dialed into the inventory and the product. You know what I could do? And you pull out those premium wall samples and you go, I can get you an upgrade to any one of these at no charge. And you upgrade them to a wall sample because that's an 8% discount on a 23, 24 grand job. And you didn't take a penny off your amount. So you're holding 24 grand as your commission point. You just discounted it 8%, so your commission's based off of a higher number. It's not based off of 20 grand, it's based off of 24. See what I'm doing mathematically? You see what I'm doing, Colin? So if the 1 year price is 24 grand,
Okay, I'm back.
all right?
Yeah.
I have and I'm gonna do an 8% discount. I can either take 2 grand off of this and I can earn whatever 92% of list is.
Yeah.
12.5 if you're tier 1. I'm earning 12.5 off this, or I can give them product and earn 12.5 off of this. So that's worth an extra $300 to me. That alone puts $300 more in my
So
pocket.
instead of dropping the price, you just add a wall.
I add a product. Yep. Upgrade them to a Hydro Rail. They pick a standard shower head. Great, not a problem. Get into the close and then show them that Hydro Rail video I showed you with the rain head on it. Go, isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that beautiful? Folks, that's about a $1,500 option. I don't have but so much control of the money, but you know what? I work for a big construction company. I got a lot of control over the product. Product I can get you. How would you like to have that $1,500 Hydro Rail with that beautiful rain head you just saw in the video, and it doesn't cost you an extra penny?
Ooh, I would love that.
And you got it on me. And you shake their hand, and you kept that price point and just added product to it. What a great close. 6, 8, 10% discount. holding a commission point, that's an extra $300 in your pocket because you didn't go to the lower number, you held it here. And if you went through the closing process and they told you when you gave them the choice of the two payments that yes, they can handle the $268 a month, and you circled it and put a check mark, you know that it's not a payment. The payment's based off of this number. You know you're good. They can afford it. You just got to trigger the excitement in their head that they want it. You got to get them over that last little want. So I'll throw something in rather than give them money. It's so much more powerful than doing a discount. Oh, you do one discount, you do another. Oh, wait a minute, he gave me something. Makes sense. I got so much control of the money, but product I got. $60 million company. I got warehouses full of product. What if I can do? And I demo the Hydro Rail, show them the video, talk about it, build it up with the rain head. Let them know it's an extra $1,500. It's a $1,500 item, $1,542 to be exact. What if I get you one for nothing? You be excited about that? That make you feel good about your shower? You got it. And put your hand out, and then immediately change it right there in front of them in the iPad and adjust the numbers. Get creative in the close. That's where your time comes from. It's not all these blah, blah, blah word tracks. It's genuine conversation about what something else they might want or what matters to them, or they're understanding the job and understanding exactly what they're getting. That's where my 35 and 45 minutes came. I had her back in the bathroom twice going over the project, read through the order again, showed them a couple of other things, confirmed that they wanted the Awaken, showed them the Hydro Rail. No, we don't need that. The Awaken's perfect, great, just wanted to double check. Did you want to go to a standard shower? No, we need the Awaken. Okay. Rolled them back to the lower wall. None of it was about twerking the price and going back and forth and butting heads. It was all about the project. And then once I had all that done, and through the massaging and taking it from 29 to 25, I just slid it over and said, now I know you got, and he'd been doing this, yeah, we need a few days to think about it. I just totally ignored that. Had gone over it a couple times, had the number down to 25 and said, now I know you guys do need to talk about this. So here's what I want you to talk about. And I told him what I wanted to talk about. I know we're still a little bit more than what you were wanting this to come in at. But I want you to remember the Kohler. If you can get a company like Kohler, who puts their name on everything they make and it feels the way they do about customer satisfaction, and then I told you about our company with dedicated service crews and dedicated installers and everybody's certified and they're committed to your experience in this. You can find another company that'll do that, then by all means. Your home, your money. I want you to feel good about what you're doing. But if you want to pay a little bit extra and get it done the Kohler way, and the way Remodel does it for Kohler, that's what I want you to talk about. We're going to go look at your Canon. Let me know when you're ready for us. Come get us. We walked out the door. Took them 20 minutes. And I came back and didn't say a word about it. Started talking about the silly Canon. Talking about the whole story about the Canon and where he got it and all that. And then there was a little pause in the conversation. I was just sitting there thinking about the Canon story. Yeah, right. But that's how it was coming across because he just finished telling me about the Canon. And then he said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and do this. I feel really good about how y'all put this together. Done deal. That's closing. It's not about the twisting of the words and the back and forth. When you can learn to talk about the project and describe it one more time and go through the order line by line and giving them options and demoing something else to see if they want to switch, you're not doing what all these clowns are doing. You're not doing what these people are doing. You're doing this. You're doing what that 1% that's really concerned about them being excited about what they're getting and what it's going to turn out to be. That's a whole different animal than what they have come through their door normally. Does that make sense? All right, so let's go through the mechanical word tracks of the close. And I'll give you the word tracks and then we'll talk about it. This will be more of a mechanical presentation than a piece-by-piece conversation. So, as we said, we've got our one-click number put together. We've got the line item with 15% added to it for the 1-year price guarantee. We've got our price presentation sheet. It's got the 1-year number and the payment at 9.9 for 120 months is written on there. I got all that calculated. I got their name and the date. None of the boxes are checked. So I go through the order. I read the order all the way down. I read the 1-year price guarantee. The numbers at the bottom of the screen, I don't say it. I immediately go over. I check all the boxes, and I turn the sheet around, and I go, we can do everything, and it's right there on the sheet for $27,748. And we've got some great standard financing of 9.9%. I don't say the 120, it's written right there. And that's $368 a month. And then at that point, I shut the hell up and I wait for the no's. And I get them to talk as much as I can. The more they talk, this is the clock ticking in the close. From the minute I put that out there, tick tock, tick tock. So let's make it easy on yourself. Get them to carry the water. I don't care what they say, positive or negative, get them to carry the water and get them talking. All you're doing is mining for words, really. What makes you say that? Tell me more. What do you mean? Compared to what? I got it. Okay, what do you mean by that? Okay, really? You think? Are you sure? Really? All right. I'm mining for words. And then at the right time, I say the exact same thing. No matter positive or negative, short or long, I go, well, remember, this is your 1-year figure. Anytime in the next 12 months, no matter what happens with labor or material costs, you're assured you can come back and get this done. And 6 months to a year from now, I've got some special financing right now, but I don't know how long I'll have that. But 6 months or a year from now, we've always got our standard financing. It's only 9.9%, single digit, not 14, 18, 22, that nonsense. And it's a unsecured loan, and I will now write on the sheet as I'm talking, it's unsecured, and it's simple interest with no penalty. Do you know what this unsecured loan is? And I ask them, and we talk about whether they know what it is, and if they don't, I explain it. And if they do know what it is, I go, exactly. It means there's no lien. You're exactly right, John. Do you know what I mean when I say simple interest with no penalty? And they probably a little more vague on that one. So I say what that simply means is that your loan, any penny over the monthly number goes all on the principal, and it shortens it up. And because there's no penalty for paying it off early, it dramatically shortens the loan cycle. Come on, Clay. Come on. You know better.
That's my job.
I understand. Tell it. You know what to tell Harley. Harold is going to yell at me. Quit texting me. All right. So then once you go through that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them, does the 368 fit into the budget 12 months out of 12 months? If it does, I'll circle that and check it. If it doesn't, I anchor them, give them that number, $50, $60 less, say that number, and then you can clearly ask them if it works or not. But you got to anchor them first. So John, I get it. We don't want something that's uncomfortable for you. What if we were down around $310 a month? Would that work for you? Yeah, we could handle $300 a month. Would that be good? Okay. And I cross that out, and I put $300 a month, and I circle it, and I put a check. If they say no, 300 won't work, just anchor them again. The second time you anchor them, if it's not the right number, they'll tell you what the number is. Well, John, okay, so 250, 260, you know, I don't know how far, how much flexibility I have, but obviously the number's got to work for you. Harold, we honestly couldn't do anything over 220 a month. Okay, well, that's the number, that's the number. Let's take that down and work from there. You won't have to anchor them a third time. If they don't give you the number, if this number doesn't work on the first one and they don't give you what does work, the second time they will, all right? So you got that number and you circle it and you check it. And you go, now folks, remember, because before you started this, you told them this is not a negotiation, this is a conversation. I'm completely transparent. I have a lot of different programs that you may be eligible for. I want to share all of those with you. I want to find you the most amount of savings. So let me just, bear with me as we go through this so we can find all the programs you're eligible for. So I told them to start. So John and Mary, the first program, you're going to love this. and I pick up the coupon because they're going to love it, whether they loved or didn't love this. They're going to love this. You're going to love this. This is Kohler's National Sale. And the way this works is Kohler gives us a credit for every shower we install. We get a $1,500 credit from Kohler towards your installation. And that brings this all the way down to $26,248. And what am I going to do here? I'm mine for nose here, letting the water go, and I'm mine for nose here. Let them carry the water. Let them carry the water here. Let them carry the water here. Let them carry the water here.
Nose overall, get info, like get their, whatever, they blow up in your face.
Whatever.
Then you talk about the next numbers, down payment, the monthly, figure out the monthly, and then pause, or do you pause?
Right, so I present this, and I get nose and let them talk about it. Then I remind them it's the 1 year price. Anytime in the next I've got some great financing now, but I don't know about 6 months from now, but 6 months or a year from now, our standard financing is 9.9, simple interest. You know what simple interest is? It's unsecured, no penalty. Do you know what that means? We explain, we have that conversation, and it's just $368 a month. Wait for a reaction. Well, that's not bad. So I didn't get a big reaction. Does that work in your budget 12 months out of 12 months? Well, it might not work every month. Okay, well, let's talk about it. So I have a talk about it. Or maybe they go, that's a damn car payment. No damn way. No damn way. Yeah, rah. He's winding down and he's getting it out. I'm encouraging it to come out because he needs, the more oomph that I get at the number, the more I want to mine. Because it lets him feel like you're listening. It lets him decompress. It lets him calm down. Ah, got it out. All right, now what were you saying? Now that you've listened to me, what did you have to say? That's literally the effect that takes place. And so then I find the number that works and I come over and I introduce the 1,500. The credit brings us down to 2648. And I pause and I'm looking to mine, and that's still a lot of money. Really, compared to what? Well, it's just, compared to anything, that's a lot of money. I hear you, John. Fair amount of work, too. Yeah, no, I know it's a lot of work, but by gosh, I wasn't expecting to be looking at that. Okay. Any ideas before I got here? Well, no, I'm not really sure, but it just seems like that would be a lot of money. Okay, I got you. Just nodding my head, seeing if I can get any more out of him. And then once he's kind of wound down, I give the impression that, he interrupted and said, well, remember, John, like I told you in the beginning, we've got a bunch of different programs. You didn't let me finish. Let me tell you about our general manager. I work in the number one office in the company. We're the number one office for one very simple reason. We see more people in a month than anybody else does in any other office. And the way we're able to do that is my general manager, when I'm with someone, listen to how I'm doing sound bites. When I'm with someone, they really like everything they've seen. They're really thinking about moving forward while I'm there. Forget this. Forget Kohler's national sales promotion. He lets me take a full 15% off of that 1 year figure. Folks, my general manager is going to offer a savings, and I know what the number is because I put it in there, of $3,760 off of that 1 year figure. And I go over and I trash can the line right there on the iPad. They see the number drop right there. And I go, that brings this all the way down to, I had to do it to myself, didn't I? Here, this was 48. This was 3,748 because I'm going to be lazy. And that brings this all the way down to 24 even. Now, folks, when you look at that, I told you we had some great financing going on right now. We've got our standard financing. and I go to the payment estimator, and I put in 9.9 at 120. With the savings of $3,748, that brought that 368 down to 312 a month. But folks, right now, I can also get you 267 a month. Now let me ask you, when you look at these two programs here, between what Kohler offers with that credit towards the shower and what my general manager's offering, which one of these two programs are you leaning towards?
I'm gonna make them pick.
Yeah, make them pick.
See, I've never done that before.
And I go over here and I mark that out right in front of them.
The nose on that one, I thought that was like the both of the discounts. So normally I would do both at once. I think I should change.
I'm picking this number right in here, right between what the 1 year is. I want that extra step. I want to account for the coupon, but it's not everything my manager's putting on the table. Because if you listen to my verbiage, because I'll give you the side, let me walk through, I'll give you the side note of why I'm doing the verbiage the way I do with the office and seeing more people. So then I get them to pick this one, and I mark this through. And you can even say this, folks, when you look at the two programs, the Kohler National Sale versus what my general manager's doing, which one of these two are you leaning towards? If you feel like making them pick, and they'll be like, yeah, we're not doing anything today. Just ask them which one they're leaning towards. And then you can mark that one out, and you come over here and you go, now when you look at the 312 with the standard financing or the 267, which one of these works best for you? And they say the 267, and I circle it. And guys, I'll be honest, I go to the iPad payment estimator for this one at the 99, the 120, and I just make this number up. I just make it $40 to $45 less than whatever this number came out to, because that's about where it's going to be at 8, 9, and 144, and it lets me move faster and not be fumbling around with the iPad. I just don't make it in, I don't say 265 or 270, it's 267, 263, 274, something like that, so it looks exact. But as long as you just keep it at about $40 difference between the two, you're going to be within $1 or $2 of where you're going to come back. And if they get 6.9 or 7.9, you're going to be under it anyway. And you haven't even accounted for the deposit yet. Because once I start getting that, I'll go back to being exact again. But just for the sake of the conversation, I just take 40 bucks off, 45 bucks off, and put it right down there and give them to choose.
So do you always have your deposit talked at the end once things are basically buttoning up?
So this is the way I asked for the business the first time. So I go, okay, got one last question for you. We do like a good faith deposit. Most people will do 10 or 15%, so that'd be between $2,400 and $3,600. You can do it with a check or a credit card. Does that work for you? Yeah, we could do that. 2,400, 3, what'd you want to do? What?
Is that when you're doing financing, you've already discussed the payments that you're doing?
Right, they pick the payment.
If
No,
it was
yeah.
cash, would you have said the same thing?
As for cash, I'm going to do that. I'll tell you what I'm going to do in just a second.
You're kind of assuming the monthly, right, a financing deal.
I'm always assuming
Right.
finance.
Right.
They have to drag
They have
me to
drag
cash.
you to right.
All right, so then they say, well, we could do 2. Is that fine? No, that's fine. It's just a good faith deposit. That's a 2's fine. Would you do it with, I'll write down what they said, 2. Would you do that with a check or a credit card? If they say check, I'm like, what's that check number? Can you go grab your checkbook? That's asking for the business. They go get the checkbook, they're gonna come back and say, who do I make it out to? And you're gonna set it right on the table, right there, just leave it there while you're doing all the paperwork. Don't put it in your pocket right away. Leave it sitting right on the table till after you've gone through one click and signed everything, then you can put it away. But it's sitting right there. If they say credit card, which flavor? I put it on the MasterCard. Have you got it on you? Can I get that card from you? And if they hand you the card, you're good. You set the card right there until you're ready to process the card. Just leave it sitting right there on the table until you're ready to process it through one click and then hand it back to them. If they give you any pushback, they're going to come right back to either the bullshit objection or the money objection. Now, going back to what you said, if they're a cash customer, I explained to it's a third, a third, and a third. We take a third at signing. You'll do a third at the materials drop, and then you'll keep back the final third till you're completely happy with everything. Does that work for you? Sure does. Okay. Would you be putting the first third down on a check, or would you be using a credit card? I'd be using a check. What's that check number? Can you? Same thing. Same exact thing. And I would just come over here and I'd go cash 1/3 And he'd say cash or check, and I'd write it down. So I'm going to write down whichever one they say, credit card, circle it like that, and then I'm going to ask for the business. They either come back to a bullshit objection, 2 days, got to think about it, 3 estimates, and I deal with it the way we've talked about with ARIO or 3-step value bump. If it's a numbers objection, they're coming back to either the overall or some kind of bullshit. Now, if I want to, they could, it's still, it's just, I can feel them. I can feel them being right there. You ever had that sense? You're really close. They're right there. So I don't need to drill down on them with ARIO or 3-step value bump. They're right there. Or maybe if it's the overall, I'll do 3-step value bump because I think that's so effective. And then I'll come back. But you still jump the gun of it. There's 2 more, or there's 3 more, depending if I'm going to bring up medical needs or not. There's 2 final programs I need to talk about. Remember, I'm going to try and get you qualified for everything I can get you for, okay? For every program I can get for you. That's right. Say, John and Mary, do you have any military in your family at all? So maybe if they brought it back to the overall, I did 3-step value bump. I said, well, before I got here today, what do you think a project this magnitude would be? And they said the number. And I said, well, John, you're smart people. Before I got here, you were thinking 10, maybe 12. After I explained Kohler's what did you think it was going to be then? I bump them up to 17, 16, 18. I split the difference and I go, well, folks, most people expect a project like this to be around 21 or 22. Split the difference. What did you like best about it? I survey them. A lot goes into a Kohler shower, doesn't it? And then I go, but you still jumped the gun on me, John. There are 2 final programs I want to see if I can get you qualified for. Because remember, I told you in the beginning, I'm going to get you every single program we can. Now, is there any military in your family? And I don't mean just you. We're very generous about our military families. You got mom, dad, brother, sister. Who's in the military? Well, my dad served. Okay, and I'll write military. And I go, if you don't mind my asking, exactly how old are you? I'm 57. I don't think, no, actually AARP considers it 55, and that's the number we use as well, is 55. So you might not be happy being a senior citizen at 57 most times, but we're going to take it today because it's going to help you out, okay? Ha, ha, ha. And then we sit there and I write down senior citizen, and I get to sit. Now, in order to get the money for this, I need help with our social media campaigns. And I pull the form out and I go through it. And I say, let me show you how much money we're saving. And maybe I only assign 6% to it. It doesn't have to be 8. You can go to the custom screen, make it 6, and put military discount, senior citizen discount. Look, you just saved $1,342. And I write it on the form. And I go, in order to get that savings, you can see what the number is. If I feel the need to, I'll even tell them what this dropped to, this $2,000 deposit. All depends on where I'm at. And then I go, I need you to initial the form saying you'll do those things for that additional $1,000. And now I've just asked for that business and asked for that close. If I don't feel he's real close, if I'm in a very typical situation, I'm picking up the phone for social media. Hey, boss. I tell them about the place and the people and the project, and I can cover all of the details, the monthly and how much they'll put down and the savings and all that. And I'll just get a social media from my manager. I'm going to be very reactive to it. I'm never going to leave a house without 2 MOD calls. Sometimes I'll make 5. I've closed a $26,000, $27,000 deal with 5 MODs. Was in the close for over 2 hours. And I've closed $25,000 jobs without a single MOD. You got to be reactive to it. But I'm not going to leave an unclosed demo without at least 2 calls. If I leave a house and didn't close, I picked up the phone a minimum of 2 times. That's what you got to stay true to the system about. Now, the last thing, and then I'll stop the recording so we can break it up into sizable chunks. The last thing, the reason I'm so big about explaining the general manager, listen, let me tell you about our office. I work in the #1 office in the company. The reason we're #1 is because we see more people than anybody else in any other office. It's literally as simple as it is. Because when I'm with someone who seriously likes what I've shown them and they're really thinking about moving forward, forget the coupon, forget the national sale. My manager lets me take a full 15% off. So I always present that way. Because later, if I get somebody that goes, Well, you mean if I called your office 3 days from now, I couldn't get the same savings? Ever heard that one before?
Yes.
Okay? I'm saying, no, John, what I'm telling you is if you call the office 3 days from now, it won't be me. Because here's the reality. There's 100 of me work for the company. You just randomly call Remodel USA and say, hey, I want a Kohler shower. Somebody's going to be put on the books to come out and see you and go through and see what y'all can work out and everything else. But the savings that my general manager can do comes from me not having to go back on repeats. Now embellish your numbers a little bit. I talk to somewhere between 60 and 80 people a month. And literally almost every other person buys a shower from me. So I generate somewhere between 30 and 40 jobs a month for the company. If I had to go back on those 30 or 40 clients just one time to get that sale, I've literally cut the number of appointments that I can see in half, and I've cut the production. We're talking about millions of dollars in business, John and Mary. Our average appointment, our average sale is about $22,000. Every other person gets a shower from me. That means that every appointment is worth $11,000 of revenue to the company that I go to. How many of those can they afford to lose and still be able to offer you thousands of dollars of savings when they come out?
That's way better than how I see it.
Yeah. How many times can the company lose $11,000 in sales before the money doesn't exist to give you the savings?
Yeah, Katie talks like a simplified version of that, and ever since I started saying it, no one ever like says the why can't I get the discounts anymore. But I feel like that's like so much more powerful. But it's also telling people, hey, other people are buying from you constantly, and if you don't buy from me now,
I'm okay.
I'm out.
Well, that actually sounds
What?
credible.
Huh?
Sounds credible.
Yeah. I mean, what it means is also I'm okay. Food, I got a covered plate in the oven when I get home. The roof's paid for. I mean, I'd love to do your shower, but do what's good for you. Do what's good for you, folks. I'm good. I'm working my butt off. I'm good. I'm busier than I want to be. And so that's why I say the way I do about the general manager special. So if they come back at me, I can go, folks, I'm not saying somebody doesn't come out here. I don't even know what they'll work out for you. I like to think I'm pretty darn good. I like to think you're probably not going to get Harold caliber back in your home. But, you know, everybody's got to go through the same training. Everybody's good. I still think they're as good as I am, be honest with you. Be honest with you. But I can tell you this, it won't be me, because if it's me, the company will know I was here. They know where I've been. They'll know I was here a week ago. And they'll know they've lost $11,000 in revenue by my being back at your house. They're not going to let me do it. They've lost $11,000 in revenue when I had to come back out here because I'm not with somebody else. It won't be there. It won't be me. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not telling you you can't get it. I'm telling you it won't be me. That's what you tell them. The ultimate takeaway. Because if you've had a good warm-up and they're really liking you and they see you as the expert, they don't want it to be somebody else. And look at how candid I'm being with them, and that's who they want to do business with. That guy that's really shooting straight with me. That's who I want to do business with. Not the typical guy they'll probably send out in his place. I don't want that guy. That makes sense? All right, turn this off.